Welcome back to Virtual School Assembly. Today I'm pleased to introduce Michelle Enjoli. Michelle is a bilingual international speaker and career coach who motivates and teaches students, professionals, and entrepreneurs strategies on how to successfully connect to career and business opportunities. She was a first-generation college student who was able to get her dream job while still in college, and since then has worked for major global brands in television broadcasting like Univision, ABC, NBC, CBS, and marketing for Mercedes-Benz USA and Delta Airlines. In 2018, she created Connect to help others find and discover new career opportunities. I'm excited to have Michelle here because we haven't done a lot with this career exploration track, but this is so important for you kids out there who are thinking about what do I want to be when I grow up? What kind of career should I pursue? And how do I start to investigate that? So I'm so pleased to have Michelle here. Let me hand you this virtual microphone, Michelle, and the stage is now yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. So I'm super excited to talk to all of you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is how to find a career that excites you. And one of the reasons that this is extremely important for you to think about now is because this is your ticket to success. When you find something that excites you, you're going to naturally want to be good at it, right? You're going to want to educate yourself and you're going to want to become better and better every day. And that's literally your ticket to success. So I have a couple of points that I want to go over with you that will be helpful tips on how to find a career that excites you now. So the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself this question of what excites you? And it could be very simple things as what kind of activities do you enjoy doing? What gives you energy? Are you, a fan of a particular type of sport? What kind of books do you like to read? Or for example, what kind of subjects in school really inspire you? Or do you like helping people? I want you to take a little bit of a minute of writing those things down just so that you get a little bit of a feel for and an understanding of what really excites you. And then the second tip to do is find out what you're really good at. So you might already know that. So it could be you're a really good writer. You're a great, you're awesome at drawing. You're a musician. You play sports. You love to solve problems. It could be whatever it is that you really think that you're good at or know that you're good at. Write those down. And then another great exercise I'd love you to do as well is ask people around you. So I'm talking about your friends, your teachers, your parents, anyone that you come into contact with on a regular basis, and ask them, hey, what do you really think that I'm good at? Or what kind of value do you think that I bring to you? Or am I funny? What are some of the things that you think about when you interact with me? And it's interesting because when you find out, those answers, they kind of sometimes like spark a light bulb in your head of like, oh, wow. And they actually add to something that's going to be really important for you to think about for the rest of your life, which is your branding. And it's interesting because the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he actually talked about branding being the one thing that people talk about when you leave the room. So you might think that you're portraying a certain brand. However, it's not until you leave the room that you really will know, okay, what do people think of you? So it's extremely important to be very open to feedback about what others perceive your value as to being, because that helps you in identifying a potential future career. And then the third tip is research how you can make money with that combination. So it sounds simple, but you'll be amazed at so many ideas that come to mind. So take what are your interests and what are you really good at, and start researching, okay, what are some ways that people make money doing this today? So it could be something as becoming a lawyer, becoming a scientist, or as becoming a content creator on YouTube. There are so many ways today for you to make money doing things that you love. It just requires you to take the time, do some research, and start actually working in that area and asking a lot of questions. And then finally, what I want you to do is start asking so many questions and never stop. So what I mean by this is during these next couple of years, there is so much content. There are so many resources available to you to ask questions. And what's the beauty of this is one question will lead to another question that will lead to another. And it same applies to connections, right? You might be connected to someone that will teach you something new, and they might have additional connections for you just to learn more and give you a little bit more of an idea of what path will interest you. So I would definitely love for you to take these 4 tips into consideration. And I want you to know I believe in you. And I hope that one day I'll be able to read about many of you, chasing after your careers and doing, amazing things, having the business that you love and enjoy. And I really hope that, pretty soon I'll be able to get to hear about it. But thank you so much for listening.
Cool. Now, Michelle, you're the perfect person to speak about this because when you were younger, you chased after your passions. And as I mentioned in the bio, first generation college student, had a dream job in mind when you started college. You had a lot of things against you, but you were able to land that job. Walk us through that story. Give us a little context for what that was and what it entailed.
Sure. So like growing up, kind of like the first tip that I gave, I was always into stories. I loved reading books. I loved asking people questions. I had this curiosity for people and their stories. So what I did was, as I was in high school, I actually joined a club where we produced a show for my local high school. And I fell in love with the act of producing stories, showcasing people's stories to the world. So when I was in college, I was majoring in journalism. However, there were so many choices within journalism, whereas I could be a producer, I could be a reporter. There were so many things. So what I started to do was actually, participate in different clubs, but actually get the experience in doing all those jobs. So I chased internship after internship, and I finally was able to really pinpoint, okay, what is the exact job that I want? And that was being a morning show producer. I wanted to produce human interest stories. It got that specific. And that was awesome because then what I was able to do was then now target specific connections for me to have coffee with, to ask questions. And one connection led to an internship. And while I was at that internship, another connection, it led to another connection that informed me that there was a job opening at a national morning show in New York City and that I should apply to it. So that's kind of like how naturally that took place. It's amazing, but it's so interesting how connections can really help you move along in the space.
Yeah, so let's talk about connections for a minute. This is something that I'm very aware of now because over the last 3 months, I've connected with so many amazing people to bring them onto this platform. And I've been surprised with how hard it is to do the outreach because it's a lot of effort to reach out to people. But on the flip side of that, I can't believe how many amazing people I've been able to connect with. Now, as you were climbing that ladder, looking at that first big job, you made a number of connections along the way. Did you do that virtually or did you do that by talking to people face to face?
A lot of it was talking to people face to face. So first, whether it was, I knew someone in school, so it was a connection via teachers, via other students, right? Those were great resources for me. And the initial contact might have been an email, or that person might have introduced me via email or in person. But the majority of the connections, like the real connection of talking and asking questions, happened in person, right? That's where I was able to, ask specific questions and build that relationship that in turn turned to, some of them have been relationships over a number of years and even friendships that still exist till today.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, it doesn't have to be face to face. I know because yesterday I sent an email out to a bunch of my friends asking to be connected with some of their friends. And I was surprised with how close I was to in connections, right? With the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever.
Yeah.
There were people that they said, oh, I can get you in touch with this A-list celebrity or this professional athlete. And I was surprised just by asking, who can you connect me with? When you let your intention known to the world, I'm pursuing this path, people
Yes.
will step up for you. So whether that's face to face or virtually, there are so many opportunities. Now let's stay on connections for a while. If you're a high school student right now and you think you want to pursue a career path or some idea, what are some of the first steps that you can take in making the right kinds of connections?
Sure. So I would say is just research, right? And research can be so many different ways. I mean, anything from, looking something up on Google in terms of a specific subject that you're interested in. And I've even instructed people to do something simple as, what are some jobs in XYZ subject, right? And starting that research there. And once you get a basic understanding of what opportunities are available in your area of interest, that's when now you have an intent that you can now use. I call it like your elevator speech, right? Of when you're meeting people, hey, I'm really interested in XYZ subject. Do you know someone that could help me that's in that field or could connect me with someone? And that's how you kind of begin. But back to your point that you just made earlier is having that intent, being specific about what you want. That's what's actually extremely important, is not being vague, is just doing the research and legwork to really and be direct, right? In asking what type of input you're looking for or what types of people you want to be connected with.
Okay. So now once you get connected with some people, the next step is to do something, right? So we're learning about these different careers, or maybe you're pursuing just a passion on the side, something that you want to develop. As we try to gain real experience now, you mentioned that you'd had some internships. What are some ways that kids can land internships, and do they have to be like formal internships that you apply for, or are there other ways of getting experience?
There are so many ways of getting experience. Actually, so in my practice of, I do speaking and a lot of coaching with students, I've actually defined what connecting means so people understand. And there's three big components. And the full definition is an authentic attempt to listen or assist someone. So there's three big components. Is one, being authentic, but also listening. So when you're meeting new people, asking a ton of questions, but really listening so that you can follow up with additional questions to learn, right? So learning is a big component. So it's the listening and the learning. And then the most powerful one is assisting. And this is where you don't need a formal internship. If you get one, that's amazing. But there are so many ways in your everyday life, starting at very young, where you can assist someone. I'll give you a great example. If you're, let's say, interested in working with animals one day, and you happen to meet someone who works at a zoo or owns a zoo, you can offer to assist them one day, right? What if one Saturday they're holding an event? You can offer your assistance in helping them do whatever task it is. So assisting is the way that I definitely got tons and tons of experience and exposure to a lot of the environments that then helped me build those connections. So definitely being authentic, listening, learning, and then assisting are the big components of what it actually means to connect.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that assisting, because I've seen in my own experience that if I want to connect with a particular person, you have to find something you can help them with and add value to their life. I did this just this last year as I started doing more professional speaking. I wanted to get hired as a speaker. And so I looked out to who other speakers were and who was really successful in that area. And I wanted to meet a few of them. So what did I do? I looked for where they had needs. And one need that a lot of speakers have is in getting even more publicity so people will hire them. And a good way to do that is to have a Wikipedia page about you. So I wrote a Wikipedia page about my favorite speaker. Then I just emailed him and said, hey, I just wrote a Wikipedia page about you. Just wanted to let you know. Well, he called me and took me out to breakfast so we could chat. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's magical, right? Because I always tell people too, even no matter what level you are in your career, even as a student, people will never forget someone who's helped them, right? And that's definitely, of all the, being genuine, listening, learning, and assisting is definitely the most powerful one in solidifying a connection, because again, someone will always remember if you've helped them. So that's why it's so powerful.
Right. So we've made the connection. We're in some sort of area trying to gain some experience. Let's talk about the different ways that you can gain experience, not just meeting the right people and being in the right place, but there are a lot of things that we can do using technology, for example, watching things on YouTube and stuff like that. Are there other ways that we can gain experience aside from just like reading a book?
No, definitely. So I'm a big proponent of virtual coffee chats. Again, I love coffee and I definitely use that and still use it till this day. But definitely, yeah, extending out invitations, meeting with people virtually, watching, YouTube is a great resource, but going back to that assisting is like what your example that you just cited, that is amazing. Being able to look for opportunities in that way to add value, because when you add value, that's also memorable for someone too. So being able to first do the research ahead of time so that you're very, very specific and you're very purposeful in trying to connect with someone, and then finding ways to either assist them or add value. I think that's a great one. Or, a great way too is even like visiting someone. Like if someone owns a storefront, someone owns a business, right? Being able to walk up one day and going and visiting them and asking some questions, offering to help or offering to add value. So it's just making sure that in whatever environment, whoever it is that you want to connect with, where they live, is kind of like a great way to figure out, how do I bring myself into that environment, whether it's virtually or in person, and then offer that value or offer to assist them.
Right. Now, I want to talk about one way of offering value that I know. So one thing that we share is we're both writers. And as a journalist, I think it's cool that we live in a world where you don't have to be hired by the top organization to start writing. You can submit things to Forbes and to Huffington Post and stuff like that now, get accepted as a freelancer. But a lot of kids don't know where to start to gain that experience. So no matter what career track they're exploring, there are opportunities to get real world experience right now. Do you have any tips on like how to get started with that process and how to find out what opportunities are available?
Sure. Well, one thing is exactly what you're doing yourself, which is an amazing thing. And a lot of kids are doing now is creating their own platform, right? Because think about it, we're all journalists, right? Whoever has a YouTube account, whoever, it has different social media accounts, TikTok, you can all create content. So in whatever it is that you're interested in, it's just learning more about it and being specific about the kind of content that you want to put out to attract certain people. So let's just say you do want to become a journalist. You want to become a writer. Start a blog. That's amazing. Start a video blog, right? Create a YouTube account and think about, okay, what is something that I'm really, really passionate about? And then how can I add value? So take that passion and how can I use that to add value to the world and build your own platforms, but then also search and look for other people that are also building platforms that are similar to yours. And I think a great thing is being consistent. So after you've done something, being consistent and sticking to that, right? Creating a name for yourself. And today there are so many ways to do that, whether it's via an Instagram account, via a TikTok account. I mean, we've all known, someone, that's gone viral, right? That never expected to, and a video has gone viral. So definitely being open to creating the platform for yourself, but then also being knowledgeable to reaching out and making connections with other people that are doing something as similar as well, because you will get someone's attention.
Yeah, brilliant. So I after watching this episode, kids have no excuse to not start exploring different careers so that they can truly find a career that excites them, because now they have all the tools, right? You've kind of shared with them how to network, how to connect with the right people, how to start creating and developing expertise. So if you start with those things, that's something that anyone can do. You don't need to be from a wealthy family. You don't have to be educated. Anyone can do those things. So Michelle, tons of value today on this episode. Thank you so much for coming on. If kids want to learn more about you or connect with you through social media or something like that, where's the best place for them to find you online?
Sure. So I have a website, michellenjoli.com, where it talks a little bit about my work. I also have an Instagram account as well, at Michelle Enjoli, where I share a lot of motivational posts just to keep that motivation going on a daily basis. And then also on LinkedIn, Michelle Enjoli Beato. You can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. Now, we'll also probably have teachers and career counselors that will be watching this. Are you hireable to come into schools and to talk with people about career exploration?
Sure. Yes. That's one of the things that I love to do. So I am a speaker and I do speak to students. I speak to professionals, leaders and entrepreneurs. And one of my most favorite audiences that I love to speak to are definitely students who are hungry to learn and have lots of great questions. So yes, definitely. Please contact me. I would love to.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Michelle.
Thank you.